Hi YouTube, my name is Heather and I love anti-MLM content here on YouTube. I'm hoping to use this channel as an excuse to sit on the floor of my bedroom and talk about the predatory nature of multi-level marketing companies with a specific focus on Beachbody. Today I wanted us to listen to a quick training from a Beachbody coach who is at the top of the company several years running. Tell us about why so many coaches leave their Beachbody business. This was the same woman who taught us how to get to diamond as quickly as possible in a Beachbody business. While she's talking, I would like it if you guys could think of some actual reasons why Beachbody coaches would leave the company and leave them below, and we can see what the differences are. I'm just going to click play and we're going to start listening.
And so the first thing that I always say when people decide to leave, it's like, when was the last time that they worked their business? When was the last time they were that rank? You know, what sort of happened in that process? And so let's kind of dive into this a little bit more. And this is what I want to tell you, right? So number one, when I took a step back and I looked at the reasons that people were giving me and the people that have moved on, right? I look at number one, I look at this one thing and it's that income. Okay, why has that person's income dropped? They'll say, I was an elite coach, I was really successful, and their income dropped. And I take a step back, and of course, we always want to say it was the company's fault, or the network stopped growing, or we moved things to Beachbody on demand. So number one, yes. Did the company move and shift a little bit? Absolutely, but we had to, right? I love that Beachbody's innovative. They do not stay complacent. They really look towards the trends and they say, okay, you know, we know that the world is going digital. We know that DVDs are phasing out, just like cassette tapes did, right? Just like VHS is no longer a thing, right? We got on board and said, we need to make a shift as a company, so we need to do that now. And so what did they do? They made that shift. Now, when they made that shift, did it have an effect? Absolutely, right? Was there an uncomfortable period? Absolutely. But guess what? During that uncomfortable period, the company didn't sit back and say, well, we don't know what's happening, right? We've got a problem, but we don't know why it's affecting the network. They said, network, well, what's going on? What are you seeing? What do you think? They went to the coach advisory board, right, that I get to be a part of, and we talked about it. We talked about what the decisions they were making and how it was affecting the company. And literally in November, our coach advisory board scrapped, you know, the company scrapped some of the things that they were planning to do because it wasn't going to benefit the network, and completely changed. Do you know why? Because they are saying to themselves, we want to make sure that this network thrives. We know that people's livelihood depends on the decisions we make as a company, and we want to make it so that every coach is succeeding. We want to give them the best choice of success.
Sorry, I have several things to say there. First is that let's remember that she's at the very top of the entire pyramid. So let's think of her motivation throughout this whole video. Second, the coach advisory board is made up of the very top coaches who represent the needs of the top coaches who have massive downlines. So she's talking from the perspective of a top coach. And she's saying that the only issue people were bringing up to her was the switch from DVDs to Beachbody on demand. And there's so many other areas that could go into less income, like you can't recruit your team stops working, you don't cycle as often, you don't get as many matching bonuses. So she's bringing up a non-issue here. She's trying to divert the attention from the fact that high-ranking Beachbody coaches say they weren't making as much money and say, well, it's because we had to switch formats and you weren't adaptable enough.
And we made a change. And guess what? When the launch of 80-Day Obsession happened, we had the biggest launch, bigger than 21 days, bigger than any other product we have ever released, biggest launch to date. Holy cow, right? We innovated. It got uncomfortable. We struggled. We leaned in. We didn't lean back. We leaned in and we said, what do we need to do to change? We innovated. We changed. We tried again. Did we do it perfectly with 80-Day Obsession? I'm sure we can fix a little.
So she's insinuating that if people weren't able to make a lot of money during this time, it's because they weren't innovative enough and they didn't lean in as much as they should have, instead of the system being rigged for the majority to fail. All it takes for a top coach to lose money is their downline stops working, they lose their diamonds. You could easily go from 15-star diamond to 7-star diamond just because all your diamonds are quitting. So she's making it seem like it's the fault of the coaches for losing money when we know it's not.
A little bit, right? But the point is we leaned in. Now, here's the thing. It created new income opportunity. People were reaching their highest paychecks ever. People are advancing in rank. And all of a sudden, we're beginning to see this shift, right? So when people say there's no income opportunity, they were leaning into a point in the business where they had come in when the 21-day fix was huge and they were seeing great success and it was just happening. And then we hit a little bit of a rough patch, which every company will. Every company will go up. Every company will have a dip. And the really great ones, the ones that have a vision and a strong why, and know what products and services they want to provide to people, are the ones that are going to continue on. And I, in my heart, see that our company is that way. So people that are saying there's no income.
In my opinion, why she's bringing up that companies go up and down is to normalize the fact that your wage as a Beachbody coach can go up and down, and you don't have a right to be upset or worried about that. You just have to be grateful that you're in the company and assume that your wage will go up, even though there's no guarantee, because we've seen over and over again in these videos that your wage and your success is solely based on the actions of your team members and your downline below you, not on your individual efforts and skill.
Income opportunity is because they stopped working when it got hard, or they pulled back. Because when it gets hard, you have to read more personal development, right? You have to lean in. You have to share.
Again, talking about personal development as a way to divert the blame from the business structure or an unsustainable company to the individual coach for them not making money, and it's their fault because they don't have the proper mindset, they're not positive enough, and they're not grateful enough for what they have, and it's their fault and their lack of skill that led to their loss of income.
More, you have to be creative, you have to have that grit. And some people said that's not what I want to do, and they chose to take a step back. And anytime you take a step back, when you're high, when you're doing well, there will always be an after effect, a lag effect that will happen afterwards. The second thing, dying network, right? So of course it's so easy for people to say, like, the network is dying. They're getting rid of the network. Other people are pulling from policies and procedures. Oh, they're going to dissolve the network, right? Here's the thing. Unless you hear it from the company, right, that is a false statement. And I look at that and I say,
it's not a false statement, because any multi-level marketing company can shut their doors at any time. They can get rid of their distributor program at any time and go straight retail. I think I don't like that she's just calling the statement false, because there is backing to it, and the Federal Trade Commission can send a warning letter and you can get sued. There are a variety of different ways that a company can get rid of the distributor network, and I don't like how she's invalidating very valid concerns.
Nowhere in the history of Team Beachbody, and if you look at our company as a whole, our company has gone from being infomercial heavy, right, direct sales side, right, where they were making a lot of income off of their infomercial business. Do you know that we have completely shifted, and the bulk of our income is coming from the network side of the business, right? We, as the network, the coaches, make the bulk of the income for the company. There is no reason, if they dissolved the network, there would be no company, there would be no Team Beachbody, right?
And that's concerning, because she just admitted that the coaches bring in all the money for the company, yet the company can't even commit to paying their coaches a decent hourly wage, which is interesting. If they're so valuable, they should be compensated for their worth.
Right? So we are the biggest source of income part of it. You've seen them pull back on the infomercial side, which is kind of incredible. So that, again, false statement. Oversaturation, that's the next one I hear all of the time. I was actually away this weekend, right? I was doing this girls' weekend with some of my friends, and we were talking about it. And I just said it, we were at breakfast, and I was like, gosh, I hate when people say that our market is saturated, right? Market saturation. No, not on every turn and every corner is somebody on Beachbody on demand. No, there are still people on a daily basis that are like, what is Shakeology, right? No, it's just that, have you ever wanted to get a new car? And when you want to get a new car, right, what do? Right? When you get a new car, you go and you say to yourself, all right, I'm going to go test drive this Honda Pilot. And you're like, I haven't seen a Honda Pilot. So I really want to test drive a Honda Pilot, right? And so you go and you test drive it, you like the car, you leave the lot, you go home and you're driving, and what do you see everywhere? All of a sudden you start to see Honda Pilots every single place that you are going, right? Now you're beginning to become aware. When I became a coach, right, I friend requested all these other coaches, right? Friend requested coaches, put myself out there, was wanting to see what everybody else was doing. All of a sudden, my newsfeed, my Instagram, my Facebook became Beachbody coaches. All of a sudden, everywhere that I went, I now saw those people in my newsfeed. Why? Because I was searching hashtags that were Beachbody related. Now, the minute I said to myself, I can't market to other Beachbody coaches, I need to go somewhere else and direct my energy to finding people that are not in Beachbody, I started to realize, holy cow, there are so many people out there that have failed at their nutrition, that have failed at their fitness, that are going to the gym that have no idea how to eat healthy. Oh my gosh, have you ever talked about emotional eating on social media? There are so many women out there that need support, right? There is no oversaturation. There are also a lot of people that
She's talking about oversaturation just in the sense of the amount of people who are Beachbody coaches or who use the products. There's also different ways that it can be hard to recruit new coaches. There are people in hundreds of other multi-level marketing companies in the United States and Canada, where most of the time you cannot be in 2 MLM companies at once. So that takes out an entire population. There's the population that's under 18 who are legally not allowed to be recruited into an MLM. There are the people who are elderly who aren't going to be interested in joining an MLM, who are of retirement age and older. And then there are the people who are very well educated on the unpredatory structure, not the predatory structure of MLM companies, and who are not going to be recruited into these kinds of companies. And it just brings the eligible population down farther and farther and farther, and it does make it harder to recruit. So she's deciding to use a very narrow definition of saturation and making it seem like it's easier to recruit coaches than it actually is. Let me know what you think about that down below.
That are Beachbody coaches that don't run challenge groups, that don't support their customers. So guess what? People may know of the products, but they're looking for a supportive community. So if you're an awesome coach, right, you're going to attract people to you that are looking for that kind of support and service. All right, let's talk about this. So not finding people is totally irrelevant. If you learn to become good at marketing and pitching to your niche and finding other people, which means you are constantly growing and leaning in and training yourself and doing what our company is doing and staying proactive instead of reactive, right? And thinking ahead, like, how's social media changing? How do I get ahead of this? How do I make sure that I'm learning the new social media so that I can connect with people that need what I have to offer? All right, the next thing is this. I hear this a lot.
I love how she's just disregarding the fact that people struggle finding individuals to join them. That's just irrelevant. If that was the case, if it was so easy, everyone would be at 15 Star Diamond. However, we know that for this person to be at the very top of the pyramid, her entire team underneath her has to be losing money or barely breaking even. And she's saying this based on the perspective of a top coach, and she's saying this while knowing that the majority of her downline of tens of thousands of people are not making money, and she is trying to shift the blame from the predatory business structure that is benefiting her and making her rich to the individual, even though she knows that everyone is failing in her downline.
My passion, and this is why I quit. I needed something that I was passionate about again. You know what? Every time, think about this. When you start dating somebody, right? I think about when I started dating my husband, and I just thought, I was like, butterflies all the time. Oh, it would make me so nervous, and I would blush, and it was new, and it was exciting, and he's the best thing since sliced bread, and I was like over the hills, infatuated. Everything was wonderful. The passion was there. We didn't have to work at passion. But then we got comfortable, right? The newness wore off. Then we started to understand, like we started to see each other's like weird quirks and things that we did that annoyed each other. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, if I make a list of pros and cons of Nat, right? Not everything is going to be a positive. We all have negatives. And I look at business, everything won't always be a positive. There are going to be positives and negatives in every relationship and every business. But in order,
what she's saying sounds very reasonable. There's going to be positives and negatives in every aspect of your life. However, as an adult, we have the right and the ability to critically analyze the situation we're in and determine for ourselves whether the positives outweigh the negatives. So if you're enjoying your community and you've made some new friends, but you're losing money every single month and you are in the hole and you're worried that it's not going to help you pay off your debt, then that positive obviously doesn't outweigh the negative, and it's okay. It's a positive thing for you to critically analyze the situation you're in and make the best decision. If you're not passionate anymore, you have the right to move to a new job. How many people have went to a job that they're very passionate about and then they just get bored, get sick of the environment or of the work they're doing, and then you decide to move on? Nothing's wrong with that. That's a healthy thing to do. And she's making it seem like it's not, and that you have to work on it and push those negative feelings and thoughts aside and just stay with the company. And remember, she wants you to stay in her downline, so she makes her matching bonus and her team cycle bonus off of you.
in order to keep a passion alive, what do you have to do? You have to work at your marriage. You have to work at your relationships with your friends. You have to work at your business. You continually have to work at the business opportunity you're a part of. And if you don't like a piece of it, you lean into it. You say, okay, how do I make this something I enjoy? Or do I delegate it, right? How do I simplify it? It's not a one-size-fits-all relationship. It's not a one-size-fits-all business either. Keeping your passion alive means you are invested in personal development. It means that you're invested in finding new ways to be efficient and effective. It means that as you grow, I just read this book, and if you are struggling in any way, it's called Be Humble, Stay Hungry, and Always Hustle. And this book, right, Brad Lomenick talks about how he, as one of the owners of a company called Catalyst, how he really learned how to keep his business humble and hungry and stayed and hustled, and what were the key characteristics to continually reinventing and keeping yourself on the upswing. It was so good. So if you lose your passion, you have to find it again, and you find it by leaning.
No, if you lose your passion, you are within your right to move on to something that you're more passionate about. You don't have to stay in a toxic MLM company with an upline who is pressuring you to stay in the company so she can continue to make money off of you.
Leaning in and figuring out what are the things you love about what you do. The next thing, I have two more, and then I promise you I am done. The next one is this. Could it build a team? Look, you can go into any company and you can retail the heck out of a product, right? You can retail. You have a warm market when you get started. Everybody that comes in that has some people that they can lean into is going to be able to build an income initially, right? So the initial success will always be big. But the bottom line is, in network marketing, the thing is building a team creates your residual income. Unless you are going to become a retailer and you are going to work ridiculous hours at retailing, right? You will hit sort of a ceiling. And building a team, developing your leadership skills wasn't something that came naturally to me. It was something that I had to work at. But because I leaned into that, what happened is my team began to grow. The residual income started to happen. And it's the same thing.
all these top coaches talk about how your success is based on your skill alone, but she just said you can't just sell products and then expect to make a good income. You have to grow a massive team beneath you and then lead that team so they can all grow massive teams beneath you. And just shows that it's nothing to do with your own skill. It's everything to do with your ability to, in my opinion, manipulate strangers, friends, acquaintances into joining this MLM pyramid scheme and manipulating them into spending more money than they're making and most likely staying at the very bottom of the pyramid like the structure intends. So your upline, the individual who brought you in, can continue to make money off of you. Just remember, her motivation as a top coach in the company is to keep you in her downline. She does not want you to leave because she'll make less money. Just keep remembering that.
See people that get to even 1-star or 2-star in their business because they've got a husband or they've got a mom or they have a friend that they were able to help get to diamond. They were able to advance in rank, but there was no depth in there. And the depth comes from the person.
She was the lady who just told us how to get her husband to emerald by putting 2 people underneath them and then getting 2 people, putting 2 people underneath your husband so you can get to diamond. And now she's saying for people to get to 1-star diamond, they get their husband to diamond, which is pretty much what she told us to do. But now she's saying that's not a good way to build your business because there's no depth. So why are you giving one piece of advice in one video and another piece in another video? These MLM distributors are always contradicting themselves and talking in circles. So which way is it? Do you want us to build an actual diamond team where we have 2 working coaches who just naturally advance to emerald, or do you want us to stock people underneath our husband's account to get to emerald, to get him to emerald as quickly as possible so we can get to diamond so you can advance in your star diamond rank?
Person's ability to inspire vision, inspiring the ability to take action, and motivating and moving a tribe of people in a direction to reach your goal, right? And that is what Team Beachbody does as a company. And the last thing is this. People are going to say it's not fun anymore. I know I already talked about that. And you know what? Here's the bottom line. It's not always going to be fun. Not every aspect of my business do I love. Yes, people are going to come in, they're going to come out. There's going to be, seasons and periods where people are a part of your life. But the basics, the principles of building a business, whether it is a brick and mortar business or it's an online social media or network marketing business, will always be the same. You are acquiring new customers. You are building a brand. You are sharing that brand. You are innovating as times change. You are staying innovative. You're staying hungry, and you are learning the new ways to share and grow and lead people in the new direction. And here is what an author said. His name is John Taffer. I was listening to Lewis Howes this morning, and he was the podcast guest this morning. He wrote a book about, I think it was like, no, don't BS yourself. And he talked about excuses. And he says, people make excuses. And it's basically a rationalization of a mistake. And I'm not saying that people have made a mistake.
Again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with leaving any kind of job for any reason at any time, especially if it's a toxic multi-level marketing company where all of your efforts goes to the top of the pyramid and makes the person at the top rich. So leaving any company, leaving an MLM is not a mistake. It's you exercising your ability as an adult to make your own decisions, be an independent and autonomous thinker, and not let individuals like this influence your thoughts. Don't listen to her.
But I am saying that when you talk about the reasons why you left any kind of company, unless it's shutting the doors for business, there is always something that could have been leaned into. There is always something, because this is a company that continues to thrive, that continues to innovate.
How many have you guys watching ever left a company because it was toxic, or you were bullied by a boss, or maybe you were harassed? She's making it seem like if you're mistreated, it's your own fault and you should have just leaned in more and not left that company. I think that's a very, very toxic mindset, just to ignore negative things that are happening around you and just stay in a negative environment. Let me know what you think below.
Innovate. And when people go out there and make these crazy videos and try to justify it, I always take a step back and I say there are two sides to every story. And a lot of times what we're putting out there, the justification that we keep putting in front of other people, right, is our justifying our decision instead of letting our activity do the work. And I promise you, if you can influence people, if you can teach people a skill to live a healthier and fulfilling life, if you can learn how to lead by studying what other leaders have done, of reading personal development, of implementing and innovating, staying focused in your business activities, in the right activities, you too can build a thriving business. So I always say,
No, you can build a thriving business if you recruit hundreds and thousands of people in your downline and make sure they recruit hundreds of people in their downline all the way down the pyramid, and you collect huge team cycle bonuses off of them. That's how you can create a thriving business.
Take it with a grain of salt. Ask questions. Lean in when you see a video or you see something that you're like, is that really true? Don't take it for surface level. Always ask questions, right? And you can build a successful business too. Guys, I hope this helped you. I hope this gave you some insight. I hope that these tips really made you kind of take a step back and say, I get it. I get what it's like to build a business. I know it's going to be hard work. I know it's not always unicorns and butterflies, but I'm willing to do the hard work, not just when it's easy, not just when it's on an upswing year, but when it's on a trying and growing year too.
So that's all I have from that video. I think it's interesting. She's telling us to look at every story, assuming that there's two sides to every story, asking, is what they're saying true? Always asking questions. I wonder if she wants us to do the same with her video, and if she wants us to think and reflect on her position in the company and how that's influencing what she's saying right now. She's turned it into a motivational video, I think, to keep people in the company instead of actually listening to the video she saw on YouTube about why people are leaving. Instead, she's flipping the blame. She's twisting it into it being their fault that they left because they're deficient in some way. They didn't lean in as much as they should have. They didn't do all the proper business building activities. So I wonder if she wants us to ask questions on what she's saying right now, just like she was asking questions about what she was hearing about why people are leaving Beachbody. Something funny, I was keeping track of every time she said lean in the 15 minutes of the video we were watching. She said it 13 times. So she really likes the lean in phrase. So I said at the beginning of the video that we should think about the real reasons why people leave Beachbody instead of all these fluffy, useless pieces of information. Why do you think people leave Beachbody? I think people leave Beachbody because when they're at the bottom of the pyramid, like the majority of people are, they're realizing that they're spending significantly more money than they're bringing in. They're realizing that they're being pressured to buy more product than they actually need, to go to live events and summits and super Saturdays, even though they're not getting paid for it. Maybe they realize that these events are a way to keep them motivated, keep them in the company, to ensure that their upline gets more money. Maybe they realized that their team is toxic, that they're being bullied and guilted into producing volume for their upline. Maybe they're pressured to share a childhood trauma or a personal story with people before they're ready as a way to guilt individuals who may be feeling busy or overwhelmed and say, if I can do this with everything that's going on, you can too. There's no reason why you can't do this. Maybe they hate Shakeology. Maybe they realize that they can find other meal replacement shakes that are just as healthy and just as good for half the price, for a quarter of the price. Maybe they realized that you can find any kind of fitness videos on YouTube. You can find weights, cardio, boxing, core, whatever you want. You can find that stuff for free. Maybe they realize that the nutrition products don't encourage healthy eating habits. And if you research it on YouTube, you would see that lots of ex-Beachbody coaches developed an unhealthy relationship with food as a result of Beachbody nutrition products. Maybe they realize as an unqualified Beachbody coach, they have no business giving fitness and health advice to individuals who should really be seeking the attention of a doctor, a nutritionist, or a trainer. Those are a few just off the top of my head after listening to her talk. I would love to hear if I missed any reasons why a coach might want to leave Beachbody. If you learned something or found this interesting, you can leave a comment or a like and let me know. That's all I have today, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you.